Okay. We're going to have to do a few things here. Housekeeping, because I don't know how difficult it is going to be. It's been a while since I streamed. I don't know what's going to be broken. Hopefully everything works. Okay, let me throw this in the Discord. Tell everybody it's up. Okay, let me get it so I can see chat again. And then I will, hey, hello. Okay, so now I can see chat. This is good. I need to pause my stream because that's going to eat a lot of bandwidth otherwise. Okay, so let me know if there's any issues with the stream, guys, because it's been a while since I streamed on Mac. I have no idea what my overlay is telling you guys. Yeah, okay, so it's nothing crazy like I'm still offering mastering services or anything, because I'm kind of not. I can't do that right now with whatever rate I would be offering before, so because that's just like my time. Oh no. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before I go into the content of the stream, because I know we have a few people in here, so you guys are gonna kind of hear what's been going on sort of ish, and the people that have been wondering where I've went will know as well. There's no hand cam yet, right? So basically I stopped streaming primarily. Well, I stopped streaming and doing tutorials primarily because I kind of ran out of content. It was less about me just kind of dumping everything and more about me being like, okay, I don't know what I could do right now. Because the issue was I wasn't really producing myself that much, just because I didn't have as much motivation to do that. And I'm slowly getting back into it, but it's just kind of like I'm letting it trickle slowly. I'm not trying to force it. And I really didn't want to get to the point where I was like forcing creativity again, because that's always ends up being pretty messy. So so essentially what happened was I kind of ran out of things to do. I couldn't like live stream myself remixing or producing stuff because I didn't want to force content, because I was kind of like out of the loop and I needed to get back into loop, and it wasn't going to happen without, you know, me spending some time by myself to kind of get into the groove again. So that was that half. And then the not making videos was just like, I didn't feel like I had really any other videos that I needed to make. Like you could say, oh, more music theory videos. You didn't cover that much. Well, I don't know more about music theory, or like I'm not sure what else there is. That's the deal. Like I can't really think of a lot of other things I could do. So yeah, my content machine broke, as Nilium says. So so that kind of puts us at today's stream, which Christian, one of my good production friends, for those of you that don't know him, he does mostly just electro house, like big room electro sort of stuff. But he's like, hey, okay, so if I come up with a whole bunch of ideas for like melodies and note progressions and stuff, which is what I have here, then would you stream where you like take that pattern of notes and try to find like a good synth and a good context and, you know, something along those lines for it. So whoops, that is not what I meant to hit. But yeah, so that's kind of what prompted this stream. And really, like, I'm not saying that this is going to be the only stream that I ever do again, and it's going to be like the last one. And I'm like, at the same time, I'm not promising I'm going to start streaming again. It's 48 Discord notifications. Actually, it's not Discord notifications. It's just friends, like 48 friend suggestions. Well, actually 47 friend suggestions and one person in the critique room that I have not gotten back to. So, oh, that's another thing. We will be doing track critiques. Those of you that watching the recording might not see them because I might try to split the recording, just so that it's kind of isolated and people like that don't want their stuff up on my YouTube channel don't have to have it up. But anyway, yeah, like there's no promises of changes that are going to be made right now in terms of the regularity of me doing stuff, which right now has been nothing. But I am open to the idea. But if I start doing streams again, I don't think I'm going to do them on a schedule. I think I'm just going to do them when I'm working on something. And unfortunately for you guys, it's not going to be the sort of stuff that you've been used to. And I'll get into this rather shortly here. Just kind of let me do my spiel. I apologize, but I'm sure some people do want to know what's up. Probably like one person out of the 5,000 or whatever. Also, I missed the 6,000 subscriber milestone, I believe. I think we're at 6,000 subscribers now. So I feel bad about not saying anything about that, but yeah, we are at 6,400 subscribers, so it's actually quite a bit. So I do appreciate everyone that's like been commenting on the videos and like asking where I am. So sorry that I haven't responded. I just don't log into this Google account that much anymore. But yeah, anyway, I was on a train. I was answering something, but I forgot. Well, they're not friend requests. They're just suggestions. I don't think I have any requests pending right now. Yeah, no pending friend requests. It's just like people from various other platforms that I have an account on. It's like, hey, your friends from this platform are available on Discord. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't care right now. But yeah, so yeah, oh, that's what I was saying. So if I start streaming, it's going to be a very different style because you guys are used to hearing like trance or, electro from me, or occasionally other things like tropical house or something like that. If I do it again, it's not going to be what you guys are used to. It's going to be, this sort of stuff. Let me pull it up. So this is just like something that some of you guys might have heard it. It's a track I was working on. Actually, let me pull it open in QuickTime so I could change the volume. But it's just like, back to my roots. This is kind of the style of music that I started with. It was this kind of ambient pop, electronic sort of mix. And I've been going back to it because I'm like, you know what? I enjoy making this style of music. And it's not mainstream, but it's kind of me. Like, whenever I try to make electro house or trance or all these other genres, it always kind of harkens back a little bit to this sort of style that's like simplistic and a little bit, I don't want to say corny, but it doesn't sound like super powerful mainstream whenever I do those genres. Best friends with the fireflies as they light up. So that's just kind of like the stuff that I've been doing in my spare time, like this sort of chill sort of sound, and then in the drop it's like so that's like that's kind of the stuff that I've been doing in my spare time, and I don't mind. Like I've kind of got to the point where like, you know what, I make this music and I like how it sounds, and I know it doesn't sound mainstream, so I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, this would be, you know, if I made an album a lot of people would like it. I mean, I just like to make an album, so kind of like I have music that I've made that I like, that like I put together and it kind of means something to me. Instead of just being like an electro house track that I did because I was working on an electro house track. So that's kind of where that happened. So what we're going to do here is we're going to throw in some of these melodies. We'll start with number 1 because why not? And we're going to listen to them. Okay, so I'm not sure, Christian, if the tempo information was fully deliberate and each of these have different tempo information. You can let me know, but I'm not going to import tempo information for now, because I'm going to try to put that into the flexibility of what we're trying out here. So this looks like he made it in silent initially, and it looks like it's a chord progression. So right now we're running on retro synth. Not sure why, not sure what it sounds like. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to change this to the electric piano, because I'm used to hearing stuff like draft stuff in the electric piano. So I'm just sorry, I'm just like thinking right now. So I think we're going to need to bump up the speed just a little bit, because this is going to be a style that, like, we don't want to run it like somewhere around 85 or something, because it'll probably, it's not going to fit that sort of vibe. So we're better off going to something like 128 probably, maybe 130. Gotta go fast, yeah. It's all 128. Okay, using the same project. Okay, cool. So yeah, once again, for those of you that missed it. This is all Christian stuff, and like he came up with this, so don't compliment me on any of the melodies. It's everything he made, and I'm just gonna try to put my thought process into it. Okay, so that actually sounds a little too fast. So I'm gonna run this at 126. Okay, so I think one of the cool things you could do with this is you could get a sound that kind of evolves. And what I mean by that is you have these shorter notes here, and they're all like 16th notes. And then occasionally here we'll have these longer quarter notes that we could actually do. And then right here we have a little bit of mix-ups too. So this is 8th note, and that's like what, dotted 8th or something, I think. I'm not sure. But what we could do is we could have a sound that's like it sounds one way, and then if you hold the keys longer, it like opens up and evolves. So an easy way to do that, if I go into Synth Master here, is we could just find a super saw and just kind of get it so it's like it plucks and then opens back up. It's no, we're not going to deal with that right now. So if we go to, it's a thing that's I've heard before in trance and electro tracks, I think. But this is just for an example. I'm not actually going to stick with this because it's too simple of a choice. So let's search for, I can't remember if this is it. No, this isn't it. Oh, what's it called? It's like that. It's this crazy trance sort of lead that I used before. Elegant Pluck. Yeah, that's what it is. So what we have here is normally we have our filter here, and I think this filter's cutoff is mapped to envelope 1. Yeah. Yeah. So so what we could do here is kind of change the way that this filter works. So we're going to have it so that the filter by default is open all the way. And I'm actually going to map it to, you know what? I think I'm just going to keep it on envelope 1 because I'm not sure what else is bound to this. What we could do here is we could change the attack time, turn it up a bit. We go like this, so it'll go like do nothing because we haven't done the other thing I'm gonna do. So what I'm doing is I'm doing an inverted version of an envelope on top of this filter. So instead of going up, it's actually gonna go down. So this is gonna be kind of neat. So that sounds really bad because what we need to do is we need to make the attack time longer. That's too long. Okay. It's kind of tough to balance it. Decay time. We're gonna make. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because the issue is right now, I think I need to change that like that. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay, if every note was a hard style kick, that would probably work right. Yeah. Just like make every note a hard style kick. That'd be like terribly like the phasing you get would be insane. So what's happening here, for those of you that aren't catching it, is we're having, like, what's happening here is when you hit a note, the filter closes and stays closed for a little bit and then opens back up. So instead of going up like you would normally have it do, it's going down first and then it goes back up. So sample hardstyle kick, turn on unison. Yeah, right. The phase. So so I said I'm not going to keep that. And the reason why is because one of the things you'll find if you're actually trying to get into the scene right now is this sound is super outdated. You can't run this sound unless you're doing trance. And even then, in this way, it might not necessarily be the right scenario to do this. So, because like this sort of saw sound on this sort of pattern might not be the right approach for trance. Because this is more of something that you would hear previously in Electro House, but now that style is super outdated. That's why I'm not keeping this, because you wouldn't really use a super saw like this in Electro House anymore. It's pretty much, I don't want to say non-existent, but it's like it's considered like boring at this point because the super saw has been used so much. Super saws are still great in trance because they're what make trance. But electro kind of comes and goes in waves. Other just general EDM styles come and go in waves. Like you'll see things like dubstep and what am I thinking? Tropical house, dubstep and tropical house. Like they'll start to share things, like certain sounds. You'll start to hear kind of mix between them as the scene changes and people pick up more on stuff like that. So this is something that's not really in the EDM scene anymore. It's only in certain subgenres of EDM where it's kind of like it's something that people need to hear and are used to hearing. Yes, Enrique, I have not streamed in a long time. Yeah. Well, I'll have the recording up for this later, but I already did my little spiel at the beginning as to kind of what the status is, but it basically simplifies to I've run out of things to do, and the reason I'm streaming right now is because Christian gave me something to do, so I figured I'd do it. So yeah, that's why we're not going to stick with this sort of preset. So, but what we do know from what we've heard here is this is very much a minor progression. So back to our electric piano here. We could have two options. One, we could make this a very dark sounding track. Now the question is, where are you going to take that track after the fact? So, yeah, lucky you followed me on Twitter because you wouldn't know I was streaming. Yeah. I tend to, that's the one consistent place I tend to tweet out whenever I stream. I don't really post to Facebook as consistently when I'm streaming. Sometimes I'll miss Facebook or I'll get it late or whatever. But yeah, that's just kind of how it rolls. But you could get notifications on YouTube too. If you have like the YouTube app and you've set it to allow notifications, I think you could set it so that whenever a certain person goes live, you'll actually get a notification from YouTube. So, only minor melodies. Well, see, that's one of the things I was going to say. This is a very dark sound, and you could put it in a dark track. But the question is, what would you want it to be in? Like, do you want to do just a regular dark electro track? Because this would be, like, as I said, in the older style of electro, it'd be easy to do this. But that's not necessarily something... Yes, it's the only consistent place I tweet. Thank you. Sometimes I have to talk, and I don't have to think about what I'm talking about. So... other times I actually have to think. So when it's technical stuff, I try to think. But yeah, so like as I was saying, like there's an easy way to do this, and that's in a with a super saw, in a an electro track. That's the easy way to do this. But unfortunately, that kind of style is gone, as I've been saying. Like if you want to get your track to go viral, it's just not going to happen if you do it that way. So the other more popular approach right now is to have a minor chord progression and then have on top of it a major melody. So if you have a major melody, it's going to contrast very drastically with this minor chord progression. And all it does is give your track more power. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to find something that I think would fit this to where we could have it underneath of a melody and then have just like a major melody on top. So it's, bear with me, because if I try to actually create a major melody on top, it's probably going to be really tough for me because I haven't been using Logic a lot, or I haven't been doing production a lot. So we'll grab, if I had to guess, we could probably get a decent sound from Massive, because I don't want to just run Synthmaster, because Synthmaster does have some cool sounds. Actually, you know what? Screw that. We'll go Alchemy. Alchemy is probably going to be a good pick here. So, the one thing I hate is digging through all of Alchemy stuff, because there's a lot of crap and very little good stuff from in my perspective. But maybe we could find something. So, okay, so here's an interesting thing. Where is it? This one? Why is it all pitch? Okay, whatever. So one of the things about this is, like, this sort of sound is not probably a good pick for this, but it is actually kind of coming back. Like, these sort of retro sort of synth sounds, they're actually coming back to the scene a little bit. So when you're using, like, you used to not be able to use something like this in electro or similar, like, heavy genres, just because it sounded so corny, it sounded so old. But it's actually kind of coming back. So, whoops, hit my desk. Ditching Massive for Alchemy. Yeah, it's, well, I really like Massive for kind of like grungy sort of sounds, but I didn't really want a grunge sort of sound from this. So what would be cool is if we could actually get this to not be one voice and keep that glide. That would be really cool. I don't know if we could do that though. Okay, so what do we have here? Yeah, so, okay, priority, here we go. Highest? Okay, so the difficulty is, like, I need to figure out. Yeah, it'd be tough getting this to work. Okay, so I can see this working out. So, like, you have this sort of sound in the background. Let me get rid of some of this mud here. Probably shouldn't do that, just do a little bit of shell. know, just kind of tame that high end so it's not super harsh. So, approximately when will the Trakeeks be? I don't know, because I don't know how long this is gonna run. I guess like we have 2 people in here watching. I don't know. We'll see. I'll run this for a little bit, and if you have to take off somewhere, just let me know, and then we could probably switch over around that time. We have to take off, so we could just barely miss you, and you won't get it in. I'm just kidding. Sorry about that. It's ridiculously hot. Yeah, 2 people rip. Yeah. Welcome to my life. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons I stopped as well. Like, it's a lot of time investment, and I don't want to say that I don't get anything back from it, because I'm not really trying to get anything back from it, but it is a lot of time investment for something that I know is, you know, a bit of a sinkhole. Like, I just put into it and I don't get anything out of it, which is just a few things. Like you know, it just sums up to I need to pay rent. So that's the difficulty. Like the time it takes to stream and not really make a video, but stream is like really easy, but it's like the getting something ready for a stream that's a lot more difficult. So, so we could actually just run this here. And what I might do is I might say like, okay, instead of having this sound the way it is, you take the distortion off. And then you grab your own distortion after the fact so that you could kind of change the tone. So we just go with regular distortion here. Excuse me, we could grab a kick drum. So as not to tilt people, I will go and grab one from the Cashmere pack instead of my regular kick pack. Hehehe. No, not drum loops. That's corny. Drums. Please open it. Thank you. Kicks. Punchy kicks. Grab one of these. This one's a good one because it's nice and tight and it doesn't like, it's not gonna detract from the track too much. See what I did there? Yeah. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. I mean, if we get some other people in here that want to do a track critique first, then when I actually switch to those, I'll like let you know, just like, you'll know when it's starting, and if there's someone in front of you, then that gives you a little bit of time to kind of like decide what you're gonna do there. So what I do with this is I'd actually put like a pretty heavy sidechain on it, and I'm going to use my plugin and hope it doesn't crash. Where is it? Here we go. Simple Sat. I think this is the latest version. I could be wrong. So we're just gonna run around here. So that's primarily to get it, because right now we have a lot of notes that are going to be dead on with the kick. So like this big note here, and then pretty much every single time the kick hits, there's going to be a note. So I'm just trying to sidechain that out because it becomes pretty glaring. Like when you have that sort of decision that you've made that you want to have notes on the kick, you have to do something to make sure that they don't catch the viewer's attention, because those synchronized notes on the kick, if you hear them loud, they're going to stick out a lot more than other notes. So I'm going to heavily sidechain them here to where I'm actually like running a complete mute. I don't have it. I have it balanced in like about 65%. So it's not actually like full mute in a sense, but it's like it's actually at the lowest point of our sidechain here for a period of time instead of just quickly ducking down there and going away. So, okay. See you, Farmer Chicken. I imagine you'll probably be back later for a track critique or something. I don't know. But if you're not, thank you for dropping in. Okay, so... So yeah, what we want to do now is we want something on top of this. That would be... What key is this in? So we're like... This looks like it's in C minor, question mark? I think that's C minor. Could be wrong. Let me just pull this up. C minor. C minor. So that means we're gonna have 3 sharps, and they're gonna be on A, B. Wait, what? G. So that's gonna be A. I don't know. Oh, it's been so long. I am so out of touch. It is C minor. Okay, cool. Okay, so that means that the parallel... The relative key is E flat major. I forgot E had a flat. But it makes sense because D has a sharp. That was what was throwing me off. I'm like, E has a flat? What? And it's because I always call it C sharp instead of... Yeah, okay. So there we go. So yeah, so... So we're going to start on the off note here because once again, we have notes that are pretty heavy on the downbeat. So we're going to go on the upbeat. We're going to try to start our melody here. So... I have no idea what I'm doing. It's been so long. Okay, so I should probably just go... Okay, that was so out of key. I was kind of thinking that it was a key. Doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound right either. It's just like a bad idea to put a note there. Okay, and then so what I'm going to do now is I'm just trying to throw in notes so we have something to where we can find a synth. Because right now, I'm primarily focused on getting the synth right. Because I don't really care so much about the note progression as much as I care about finding a synth that sits on top of this synth well. So, yeah, C, D, D, yeah. I have it up here, technically. I'm just not referencing anything because I'm stupid and I'm not doing it the easy way. But, so... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some... I don't think we could do anything from retro synth, actually. I think we're going to need to do something that's a bit more modern because of how we've chosen the background synth. We might be able to get something retro on top that could be possible. Okay, yeah, so I'm not liking the fact that it's starting there. Okay, let's try. We might need to bring this like up or down an octave. I think a down an octave might be a better bet. What is all my keys? Okay, that's not what I wanted to hit. Select all. Down. As did they change it or am I stupid? Probably stupid. Yeah, that's closer to something somewhat realistic. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to find anything in retro synth. I'm gonna go to where is it? It starts with an L. It's lethal. Where is lethal? Oh, that's right. It's down here. Lethal. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up an octave too. Doesn't sound right. Whatever. We'll stick with that. So I'm gonna go with psytrance. Might find something interesting in here. No. Okay, so I'm doing something stupid too. So here's the issue. We have very quick notes here. I'm trying to space a similar spacing of notes. What I need to do is something like that's a lot longer, actually. Ah, you back. Okay, cool. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. I just made a shit melody and deleted it. I've done well. That sounds in key. I don't want that. And then let's see if we can find some weird glide. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to come up with something that's like, get rid of it. It's like really bad. Yeah. What I'm trying to get some sort of like weird. Kind of like that almost. I want it to glide though. So what I'm doing here is actually like I'm trying to run this underneath as much as possible. Yeah, so the difficulty is I'm trying to like, but like you could tell the kind of vibe I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get something that's like darker. But like the whole point is like these notes, you cannot do this. This does not work. And that's what's supposed to give it like the super dark sound. Okay, this is an octave too high. I'm going to bring these down. See how that goes. It's not what I meant to hit. It sounds like it's a different key though, actually. G sharp. Is G sharp part of it? How do you even update Logic? Here's one update. I have no idea. If you bought it from the App Store, then it should be easy to update. If you didn't buy it from the App Store, cannot help. Typically is the case. Sometimes you have to update to the latest version of Mac before you can update Logic. So G is not part of that. Okay. So it's actually just straight G. And then which one of these is out of key? Because I think one of them should be out of key. Not three of them. C sharp, that's out of key. And this is C, and that's in key. And this one is B. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop this by one note. So all we effectively did was drop this whole section by one note. No, A flat's in key, yeah. Okay, so this is a terrible example because what we need to do is we actually need to have a different synth here, I think. Because it's like not a bad synth, but it doesn't go well with like fast motion. That's good. Yeah, we'll just go with this. No, I'm just kidding. This is part of the reason, like, yeah, if you got it in that store, it should be easy to update. Not sure what else you'd have to do. Okay, this could be really cool, actually. That's an insane amount of, like, delay, though. Okay, and I'm going to reduce this phaser here. That is a good thing to do with this. Okay. Because that's like super... Okay, and then what you could do is complement this with this. Oh, come on, why you? Why you do that to me? Can I, like, force legato or something? Trim notes, yeah. I hate when it did that. You bad boy, I didn't want you to do that. Okay, this is what I'm doing is I'm creating like a complementing rise to it. So starting with C and then wait, the key is just C minor. So we could go to I want to go to I think E flat next. And then I'm going to grab another note here just because. Yeah, okay, so that's a cool thing we could do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reset the swing here, set it to 0. All these swing 0, my boys. And then we're going to change that back up to 50 again. And then we're going to need to trim notes to remove overlaps for adjacent. Yeah, sure. And then we're going to extend this note out. And then we'll set this to a pretty high note, so like something like A flat. And then G, because then we get that minor shift down. That'll give us a nice, powerful thing. We're going to need to change this synth, too, because it's not a good synth to do this for. So we'll just listen to this alone. Give it more clarity here in high end too. Sorry, I'm just on a roll. Let me check chat here. Spent 50 minutes on this melody. Yeah, right. Wait, seriously, have I been going that long? Yeah, 50 minutes. Well, I mean, I spent like probably 20 minutes talking, but whatever. Okay. Yeah, so, okay, so just kind of briefly to answer your question though. Whenever I update Logic, all I do is click this. So like, apparently there is an update for Logic right now. You just make sure you're logged in and you've got it installed. And you just click updates and it should just show up right there. Pitch of an audio region can now be transposed or fine-tuned. That's actually pretty cool. Improves responsiveness. Cool. Okay, that's interesting stuff. So... Okay, so we have a difficulty here. That's a frequency we don't want. That's a frequency we don't want, but we want that and very subtly. There's also another frequency here that's kind of helpful. You can kind of tell, like, it sits a lot farther back. And what I'd like to do is actually go into lethal here and not lethal, alchemy. We'll figure out what's causing this crazy grunge sound, and we'll try to balance that down a little bit. Okay, cool. So this additive source here is actually pretty powerful in terms of what it's done. So this sound, but we need to get it more body in some sense. And I don't think this sound shows up with the way it's set up currently. Okay, so it kind of feels we just need to reduce this as the release. And then having this off here actually makes a difference. Kind of gives us a little bit more body to work with. I didn't want to put a compressor on there. Goodbye, compressor. And then I'll just wrap this up pretty quick here with this one in a second. So it just makes it sound a lot darker. And then ideally, you'd actually want a bigger kick down here because this would be something more suited for a drop. But that's kind of like something you could do with this because it's like a very dark sounding chord progression. One of the things that like you note though is it has this sort of behavior at the end, which means that you need to have a synth that's well suited for that if you're going to do something that's like super high and you have like these quick notes at the end. So I like how the body sounds like when it's at lower frequencies too. So that's kind of like, it gets like this grunge sound. And then you get this stutter of the synth that shows up in longer notes. So yeah, the most difficult part about this is like trying to get it to sound unique and having this huge gap that are like two different things. Like instead of having a chord progression, we're just going, you know, doing your chords underneath, and then you have this as your lead. We're assuming that it's all in one for this. So we're trying to, like, we found this synth and it has good tonal aspects to both halves, and it especially plays well with this. And that allows us to make it, instead of something in the background because it's so busy, we can now push it up to the front and have something like rhythmic in the background here. Maybe not exactly this, like I wouldn't necessarily go for exactly this sort of sound, but just this sort of thing where you have like just this something to kind of keep it running in the background to fill out space, because otherwise it sounds too plain. And then you probably, instead of a tight kick like this, you want something like nice and heavy, because that's where this sort of sound would shine, because with how much grunge it has, you're not going to have it in a break. You're probably going to want to put it in a drop. So that's kind of my thoughts on this one. So I'm just going to drop. We'll just do new for now, and I'll keep the other one open. Don't close, because it's not that big of a deal. I have 32 gigs of RAM. It won't be used up, I imagine. I imagine. Could be wrong, though. We'll go to number 2 here. So what's something we could do with number 2? Also import tempo information. Same thing. We're just going to see how this goes. Okay, so one of the things we could do here is run it down at 110. This is like a really easy thing. I'm going to open Sculpture, actually, because we might be able to have some fun with this. Oh, come on, loop it. So I'm gonna change the tone of this so that it's a little bit less like steely. Oh no. I need more volume out of this. I know there's like a gain somewhere in this. You originally made a track out of this one after making the melody on a piano at your friend's house after you played golf. Called it Hole in One. Oh, that's kind of neat. So this one ended up becoming a track. This is actually a really good sound. I like it. But you could actually do some really cool stuff with this. And this would be something where, like, I wouldn't necessarily create an EDM track out of this. Because you could, like, you could make it like, you could get, because of the darker notes, let me duplicate this and just kind of show you what I'm talking about. We could get a super aggressive electro lead on this. I think I might be able to find something easy peasy in Lethal again. So if we just go to EDM leads, they're not 7th. We want like a detune lead or something. And then, but you just have to run that at a faster BPM. Something like this, and run it at 1/3. And that'd work well for a break. Like, you wouldn't necessarily run that for a drop because it's not quite heavy enough, but you could run something like this over a pretty cool break. And then I'd run like a pad underneath, but I actually more prefer the idea of something like this. Not this fast. I wanted like 110 or something. And it sounds like ridiculously slow when we go back down to that speed, but there's a reason I'm going for this. I want to get a EXS, and this is just kind of going back more to my roots of style. And if we go to orchestra, I want a harp. I don't know how good this is gonna sound. Are these all in C minor? Or just this one again? So what's the parallel again? It's like E flat major. So we'll just go D, E. So I need to change the velocity of these so it's a lot quieter. Oh man, it doesn't feel like it has as good layering, but I want like... something like this. What's in key? Something kind of like that. Okay. F sharp not in key. Wait, do I have an F sharp somewhere? I don't have an F sharp, do I? Or am I stupid? Oh, that's why. That one, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of something a little bit. And then I'd drop a whole lot of reverb on this. It's probably going to be too much, but whatever. Whoops. And then I get this one, bump it up a little bit so that we have not there. That's where most of the voice is. Its sculpture is still too quiet. I need like a boost in here or something. I mean, I could just throw gain on it, but... Ooh, wait. Yeah, I'll just throw gain on top because I don't want to deal with this. Utility, gain. That's kind of like what I would choose to do with it. But yeah, you could definitely do something like this. And then you could also create like a really interesting style if you like bump it up to... come on. Something like this. So you get like a very different sort of sound because it's going so fast. Hey, Oscar, yeah, I'm kind of back for a brief moment. So that's like, that's one of the things you could do with it. Just, or actually two things, I guess. Like one with the, this would fit, this one right here would fit pretty well if you had like, just like that knock-in bass line. And since we're in C minor, sort of, whoops, no, not what I want to do. Control Shift Z, yeah, bring it back. Let's bring it back. Swing it a little bit. But yeah, like, I'm just going to run this because it's easier. And then if I get... I don't know if RetroSynth is actually going to have the right bass, but I'm going to check. Yeah, like this. Kind of, but... Yeah, more like this. Unfortunately, this synth is not going to drop lower. It just sounds nasty. But that's like what one of the other things you could do with that. Just kind of giving it a little bit more. But I'm going to try this. I don't think they'll mix, and if they don't, there's a point to be made. Actually, it's not that bad. It's too loud, but... It doesn't mix well with the harp, though. Yeah, but it's like, just because, you know, they kind of work in one situation doesn't mean they'll instantly work in another. So it's like you really have to be working for the context. Because like this kind of works, but you'd have to fiddle around with it a bit just to get it to like fit well. Okay. Okay, what is life? Why do I exist? And what is compression? Are you still stuck on that one, man? Okay, it's Eli. Can you change the note in the melody, the one before the last part? Yeah, I did. I actually did. I made sure that I changed the note in the melody just before the last one, but not so much that it would be more than the one after, you know? But yeah, like that's the sort of context you could put this in. This is actually a very flexible melody. You could do a lot with it. You could do it like this sort of ambient sound. You could do an electro sort of sound. If you tweaked it a bit, you might even be able to get it to work well in a pop track. Maybe not so much. I don't know, because like it kind of has like this feel of like if you slowly speed it up, it'd work well, kind of. So like if you have it at like, and then eventually you get it to the point to where it's like instead of at 8th notes here, it's at 16th notes. So because all of them are 8th notes, so it's a very static pattern in that regard. What? I bet you secretly make good music in FL. Oh, I bet you I don't. Yeah, that's pretty much a no-no there. Okay, so we'll go 120, and then so yeah, that's a pretty cool one. I actually like that one. Let me. New, close, don't save, don't save. It's just like it's so simple. It's almost something I would make in the sense that it's so simple, but it sounds pleasing. Doesn't necessarily sound like huge or like super dark or it's like it's not over the top in any way. It's just like it works. No. This is actually going to be tough. Like, what context could we put this in? I don't know. If you were trying to stump me with some of these, you've done a pretty good job on this one. Yeah, so like that's the thing I'm kind of feeling like it is a weird melody, and that's what makes it tough. It almost just like fits this sort of like super plain retro synth sort of sound. Like if you're trying to make video game music, that's where this is at, you know? Well, I don't know if I would separate necessarily the top and the bottom. Like, okay, never mind. I might just for production reasons, but I don't feel like that would change the situation we're in right now that much. Actually, you know what? If we're going to separate them, there might be a thing I could do. So... yeah, I think I have an idea. So I'm going to try to run this one to be a normal bass. And I mean, like, what I mean by normal bass is a normal bass. Like, a actual... Please open, por favor. Guitar. Electric guitar. Wait, bass. Electric bass. Let's figure out which one we want. I don't want it that long, but I'm trying to get it to sound natural. It was like I had an idea for what I was gonna do with the top. It was gonna kind of be pop sort of ish. I don't know, cause like like the difficult part is this. I almost want to make it like kind of trap-ish. But that's like, I don't know. That might come out sounding weird still. So we'll grab lethal here and go into trap and grab a lead. That actually works really well, I'm not gonna lie. Amp. That actually kind of works. I actually think that's okay. And then you just have to like drop some complementing chords behind it. Because I wouldn't... Definitely not at this pitch. I might bring it... I can almost see you actually changing this bass to a kick now. So instead of being a bass, it's actually just a straight kick, like what's the kick? Is it 808? Is it the 808 kick that's used for trap? I can't remember if it's 808 or the 909. I think it's 808. It's been so long, ugh. But yeah, like this actually works. And I wouldn't put much more in the background if you're going to use it at that high pitch and in a drop. Because, like, pretty much beyond this, you just want something that's kind of like a little bit of a drone to fill out the background space. Yeah, it's 808, yeah. You were expecting nothing good to come out of this. Yeah, well, it kind of worked. I mean, it's not that bad, actually. Like, I probably wouldn't make a track on this just because, like, trap is not my forte enough for me to be comfortable using something like this. Like, if I wanted to do something trap, I would make sure I'd have, like, a much stronger thing. But I could see something like this not necessarily being impressive to someone like an electro artist, like, that's listening to this track. They might be like, it's kind of meh. But if you are someone who listens to a lot of hip-hop, this could be really good. And you could actually throw vocals over something like this. Like, that's the best part about this. It's like... So here's another interesting thing. Sorry, excuse me for burping there, but... there's a really cool thing about melodies like this that you'll find in hip hop and sometimes pop is these people, for whatever reason, they actually have a track with a shit melody, and because they have a good vocalist on top of it that knows what they're doing, they kind of control it. So like for example, if you have Terry Crews and Terry Crews is doing some really good, like really funny stuff, you could have a crap cameraman and he will like not necessarily play the cameraman, but he'll kind of like compensate for that, and he could accentuate it if he did it right. Like if you have a cell phone camera that's doing it and it's someone shooting with a cell phone camera, I'm not saying this is like super bad, but whatever. But you could like, if you have a person who is playing the context well enough, then you could actually like have a bad melody and they'll take that and turn it into something. I don't like, not very good ideas off the top of my head. But yeah, like it's the concept of, you draw from the fact that it kind of feels weak. So that's like, not necessarily that this is a terrible melody, but it's a very hard to use melody. So I'm gonna be honest. If I were to hear this, and someone were to say, okay, like if you had to like this, you had to use this melody, you couldn't change it at all. What vocals would you put on top to kind of empower this, to give it a lot more value? I would say G-Eazy. If you could get G-Eazy on top of this, then it would fit his sort of style and the way he does vocals in a way that actually like they would complement each other. So so if he was actually doing like some vocals on top of this, you could get a pretty good sounding track that would fit his sort of style. But I was kind of going off on another tangent. I didn't fully finish, but sometimes you'll actually hear that like these artists, they choose something that is simple and something that is kind of corny because they know it's catchy. It might not be like impressive to hear, but it's catchy, you know? Sounds too fast for vocals. Yeah, that's why I said G-Eazy. Because, gosh, I can't remember the track. Can't remember the track. But like something like this, he can do stuff that fits over something like this. Would be like Bone Marrow or Random. Not sure what you're talking about there. If those are artists, I'm not familiar with them. But yeah, like that's one of the other things that I didn't mention. There's actually a reason that some of the artists choose to have corny or crappy melodies on their tracks, not because they're corny or crappy, but because they know that it's going to be catchy, and it's catchy enough to where people are like singing that part if they can't remember the lyrics. So, oh, those are Jeezy songs. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Actually, the one that, oh man, what was it? I think it's You Got Me. Yeah, it's You Got Me. That's actually the track that I'm thinking of right now. Yeah, I actually don't recognize most of his tracks by name, but I've heard a ton of them. I really like some of them just because they're pretty powerful tracks. Like, I don't necessarily agree with the message of them, but they are pretty powerful tracks. He does what he does well. Gotta be quite honest about that. So, can't play it on stream, it'll get claimed. Exactly, yeah, that's why I'm not playing it. But Jeezy, You Got Me. That's the one I'm thinking of right now when I'm like listening to like this. Like, and that's kind of what gives me the idea that G-Eazy would do this sort of thing. Like, he could run this, and this fast note progression, he would either try to like do very quick lyrics over it, or he just runs something else that I have no idea what it would be. But he could work with this. He could work very well with something like this. And I mean, like, if you were to actually say, okay, use this, make an idea off of it, then G-Eazy could very easily make an idea off of this and then change it up a little bit. And then maybe it'd evolve into a different track eventually. But, like, this is not something that you would scrap. When I listened to it at the beginning, I'm like, yeah, this is tough. I don't know what you do with this exactly. But it is very doable, and you don't necessarily need to scrap it. So that's, like, something that I need to take to heart a little bit more. if it sounds like crap, that doesn't necessarily mean it's crap. It just means you need to find the right context for it. So, just stream Mayweather v. McGregor as a decoy, yeah. That's a great idea. Okay, so we're, what, 3 in, I think? That was number 3 there. So then we'll go 4 and 5. So do we have people in here that have tracks they want critiqued, just kind of so I can get a head count? Okay. Don't save. I closed it. I didn't mean to close it. I meant to create a new project first. Create. Awesome possum. Do not. No, I want to not import it. You gave me too many buttons and not enough time to read because I'm streaming and the pressure's on. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I know Nelly wants something. Okay, this is actually really easy. You could turn this into a pop track with not a lot of effort. And you actually might even be able to turn it into a tropical track with not a lot of effort. So, see if I can get something on Silent right now. I'm kind of feeling this Silent groove. Let's loop this here. I don't want an ARP actually, surprisingly. Wait. Yeah. And you could also make it Future House, but whatever. And even Deep House. Like, this is super flexible. Like, this sort of thing right here. If I wonder what would happen if I slowed this down. You had Future House in mind when you were making it. Yeah. Yeah, it works really well with Future House for sure, but like you could definitely go Deep House with this too. I don't even need to do much with this because like it's very clear that this works as like a foundation for any sort of focus in a track. So I wouldn't put this, because it's so bouncy and active, I wouldn't put this behind much. I guess that's the big thing here. Like I wouldn't try to put like a fancy melody on top. If I was going to put a melody, it'd be something that'd be kind of to accentuate it. So like long notes or like short, like something over it just to kind of accentuate it, not something in front of it. That's like the big takeaway here. I make good shit. Yes, you do, Christian. Good job. Good job. You give the cookie thumbs up. Could be a catchy hardcore riff. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't do a lot of hardcore, so I mean, maybe. I can't think hard enough about what hardcore would be. So load a good supersonic, crank that to 170. Oh, I could try that. Just run. Oh wait, actually, if we go back to Bank Factory Bank 1. What is this? Where's the hub? Yeah, here we go. Let's get this phaser, make it a little bit less phasey. Oh, that's going to... It's like... Fast enough? Good? Yeah. Awesome possum. I'm glad you like it that fast. We'll do something realistic. 170? I don't know. What do you mean by fast? 170? Yeah. More. Any sites that I recommend for theory, your progressions have become somewhat boring. That's a little bit of an easy answer and a little bit of a hard answer. So I kind of suck at that. So in some sense, I have not actually found a good resource. In another sense, I have found good resources. I just haven't necessarily watched them as much as I could have. Pyramind. I will type it in here. It's Pyramid. They do really good breakdowns of musical structure stuff. So that's really good. Also, we have someone in our Discord who has been a little bit inactive, but may potentially be working on a music theory series. I haven't heard back from her in a while if she's still working on it. But it's not, it's not a thing yet, but it could potentially become a thing. I don't know. But that could be a good resource eventually. And that would be more like a sort of tutorial as to more in-depth music theory than what I cover, because I don't cover much. But Pyramind is very, they have a lot of really good content on music theory. So definitely check them out. Other than that, I don't really know too much. So, I could have remix. That's funny, yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is, I really like this one, to be honest. You could use it for a lot of genres, and it just does a really good job at taking focus. So, although I kind of feel like you could even use it in trance. I'm thinking about, I was going to say trance might be a little hard to use something like this, but I think you could actually use this in trance if you're careful. You definitely want it to be something of focus, but it wouldn't necessarily be something super aggressive. You might want to do something a little bit more chill and have it as sort of a break section. So, yeah, this one's really good. Melody number 4. Very good, and it's super flexible, so there's not really much for me to cover. The only thing that I have to say is, because of how fast everything is, and because we have low and high notes, this needs to be the focus, and everything else you add can accentuate it. Because if you have something like this in the background, it's too fast to be in the background, and if you have it as kind of like a chord progression, it's not really going to work as just a chord progression. But at the same time, you can't have it as just a top lead, because it does have these lower notes that are not very critical to the sound, but are very powerful with its current style. So I wouldn't separate them because they do a lot where they are. So also, I forgot to check. Is my stream oh wow, my stream's actually not dropping frames like crazy. So that is very good to know. I'm happy about that. Okay. So, and then I guess we'll go on to the last one here, and then we can do track critiques. So, Nellium, if you want to start wrapping up stuff before you bounce it out, then you can start going on to that pretty soon here. So we'll close that. Don't save it. I'm curious what this last one's going to be like. Melody number 5. Don't import. I had to. It's right there. Dude, you made me with that one. I didn't get the choice as to how I was going to make that joke. Did I ruin it, or did I just turn it into something classic? Just think, this is what the person that did the music for the Mario games might have been thinking, and then they just changed it and evolved it. And that's where the Mario music came from. Sorry about that. I just like have a habit of punching my... Ashamed of making that now. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, we'll listen to this. This definitely you would not want to have focus. It would be chord progression. You'd want it, use it, kind of fill out some things. Might be able to do some fun stuff with this silent on this one. So if I find a key, might do something. Might be a little too high though. That's something you could do if you like to do sort of, not ambient, but like, sort of... I want to say kind of like Martin Garrix style breaks. Like, of that vein. Like, you're actually doing electro, but you're using something that's kind of like eerie ambient to kind of get an extra vibe, so... You're ashamed of making it, and it was your favorite? Wait, did I miss that part? Am I reading that wrong, or did I just realize that now? You gotta bounce and sleep soon? Okay, well, thank you for dropping in. We're pretty much wrapping up anyway. All you're gonna miss is Nilliam's work in progress, which I'm sure it's not gonna be much to, you know, regret missing. This would make it a pop trap. If you pop trap, yeah, it's a pop trap. That's how I catch my soda, you know. A pop track with a K and a C. Double for the K sound, you know. So yeah, like, what is this? I have a track in mind. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, like the sort of style that's running right now, like this would be very mainstream. This has potential for like very mainstream sort of sound if you use something like this. Yeah, as to what you put around it though, that might be a little bit tougher. You just want a bass and some... And then you'd want to eventually go into the sort of electro pop where it's like electro house, but it kind of starts to blend with pop because you're doing some sort of like Calvin Harris thing or something. Yeah, so it kind of like the sort of resonant filtered sort of saws that you get occasionally where it's like kind of like 5 Hours by De Oro, or there was another one I was thinking. Kind of like Under Control, like you'd use that sort of transition to get into the drop, and then your drop you could have something completely different, obviously. So that'd be kind of out of the scope of this particular area. But yeah, this area, like when you had this, you'd want it to be, you'd have like the vocalist, and it'd primarily be the vocalist, this, and maybe a bass underneath, but it has to be a very controlled bass. So that you kind of like know what you're doing, you know what you're pumping out. So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think like, okay, yeah, but like that vocalist there you brought up, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is like BB Rexa or something. I don't know. Back to You. Okay, I think I've heard this song. I maybe just don't recognize it by name. But yeah, I think this was the vocalist I was actually thinking of when I was like, ooh, actually I could hear this being a pop track. So definitely like this works really well in this sort of style, because then it's like the chords are supposed to be there and you have this echo and the reverb and it's filling it out. Well, it's actually just an echo, but it kind of sounds like a reverb because it has so much feedback. But yeah, like you have this, you have a controlled bass, and then eventually the drums can come in. So you have a little bit of drums, and then you start to have that sort of progression development into what you're going to have for the drop, which would probably be, in this sort of case, it'd be like very sporadic sounds with a lot of pauses, and you kind of just focus on like the depth you get by having like the full stops to kind of get that really cool like groovy sort of move in the drop. So yeah, like this would be very mainstream pop material if you played it out this way. So it's really good in that regard. Also kind of like I could almost see like, is her name pronounced Sia? You know, the vocalist on She-Wolf and other David Guetta tracks. But I could almost see her doing something kind of like this too. So yeah, so like really good, like in this sort of context. But I'm not sure what else you do this context for. You could, I guess if you made it harsher, you could kind of turn it into a bit of a Z track, but you need a lot more to go with it. Because if you want to do something in that style, you have to get pretty complex stro. But yeah, like this sort of style, I want to say that I've heard it in the past a little bit, but very sparsely. And I can't remember what sort of context it was in. But yeah, it is like that. It's definitely a thing now. So if you just kind of run off of, like, just listen to popular tracks and kind of hear the synths that they're using, it makes for some easy picks for this sort of sound. Because it's got like this full chord, so you can kind of see it's got like the chord spreads out over 3 octaves. So so you have a lot of spread, and it's a unique enough progression to where it's like it stands out and it's kind of its own thing. It doesn't sound like super rhythmic and kind of droney to where you put it in the background. So it's a chord progression, but at the same time, like, you wouldn't want to put too much on top of it, because once again, we do have quite a few fast notes in here. But yeah, it's very well complemented by a vocal. So yeah, that's my thoughts on pretty much all these, I think. So yeah, I didn't do too much in terms of like adding other stuff to kind of show with them, but that's because the last two were very, very flexible in that regard. Like this one, it just depends how you want to play it out. Like, but if you go for that mainstream pop sound, it's super easy. But like you can't do something like this, a saw like this, for this sort of sound. I think I've heard this in like really old electro stuff. Like if you use a saw and this sort of sound, maybe. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. When the automations glitch out when you bounce. Yeah, it's always fun. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I think we ran for almost 2 hours here. So if we pop out and then pop back in to do a track critique for Nellium, we should be around the 2 hour mark, which is okay. So that way I don't like kill myself talking. Talking for like hours on end. Oh, that actually like it gets like my throat starts to get a little bit sore whenever I do streams like 4 hours long or something. I'm talking the whole time. Always makes the mix interesting, right? Yeah, like those automations when they bug out, it's like, that's not what I was expecting. Like some of the some of the times when you have like automation and it's like supposed to make something kind of smooth and floaty, but it bugs out and then it just like goes like the whole like bar or something. That's we double check it up. Yeah. Well, I mean, I could just cut the stream here really quick anyway because that way we could separate the critique from the video here. But yeah, like automation bugging out is the one thing that is most annoying. Well, I think it's the to me it's like the second most annoying thing because I figured out how Logic's automation system works and how it bugs out and ways to prevent that. So I'm not like I don't run into that too much anymore. The thing that bugs the snot out of me is like when you have a legato synth and you press the first note and it goes like and you're like, come on, like I just want like a regular first note and then everything else after that glide, please. It's super annoying. That's like the one thing I absolutely hate that like I wish I didn't have to do workarounds for. Okay, yeah. Nice having you, Christian. I appreciate it. I appreciate like your idea for this. It gave me something to do. So, yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to cut this here really quick. And then, Nellium, when you get your track up, just ping me in Discord and I'll start your stream back up and we can take a look at it. Okay. But yeah, everyone else who's watching the recording, I apologize for disappearing. And I don't know. I may do more streams, maybe not. It just kind of depends on how my future plays out. But I don't want to say this channel's done, but at the same time, it's not getting easier for me to put more content up at this time. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. And for some of you, I will see in like a couple minutes. Others, I don't know what I'll see you next, but thanks for joining.